Shalom, shalom, shalom. Most High in Christ bless. Happy Sabbath to the 12 tribes of Israel. I'm back at it again. It's your brother Chizkiah, and I'm coming to you with another episode of Discontinued Heritage. All right, that's the topic for this Sabbath. But within this Discontinued Heritage saga, we're going to specifically address St. Patrick's Day. Why? Well, because a lot of people are in the spirit of St. Patrick, and they're already celebrating. Just earlier today, I saw numerous amounts of people all wearing their green and their little St. Patty's Day with the little shamrocks and everything else. Obviously, most of the other nations of people are out there doing it, but our people were still out there too. Probably was a little bit too early. That's why I see too many of them, but I know by tonight it's going to be lit. All right, because that's usually how it always is. But taking that into consideration, is St. Patrick's Day something that we should be keeping as Israelites? Okay, as being sole followers of the Most High, all right, having Christ as our righteous example. The question now comes into play, well, when did Christ keep St. Patrick's Day? All right, when have you ever seen throughout the scriptures that our people participated in this holiday or any of the other holidays that are typically pushed within this country, like Valentine's Day, the Thanksgivings, the Halloweens, all right, all of these different man-made holidays. But the Lord tells us that we're only supposed to keep his feast days, okay? We have to really think about that for a second. Yes, we are in captivity here within this country, all right? We've been captive in multiple other countries, but just because we were there does not mean that the Most High's expectations for us as his people and what he's commanded us to do ever stopped being a thing. St. Patrick's has nothing to do with us. But I'm going to get into that. I'm going to show you all a little bit of history, and I may be touching on some things that you haven't heard before. I haven't heard it before either. But that's what I'm excited about today. I just pray that y'all bear with me. I'm not going to make this class too long, but there's going to be a little bit of reading. And I also will be dropping the references for the research that's been conducted today and that I'll be using and sharing with you all to edify you for this session. But as customary, let's start with the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 8. We are reading out of the KJV 1611 Bible. If you don't have your own physical copy, you can utilize your cellular device. All you gotta do is go on to the Apple Store, download KJV 1611 with Apocrypha, or if you have an Android, all you gotta do is type that same thing in there. You should be able to find a lot of the scriptures that I'll be bringing out to you. All right. So the book of Joshua, chapter 1 and verse 8. All right. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. But then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. I read this every week just because I want it to be a reminder. Okay. We have to make time for the Lord. All right. We put so many other things in front of us. We get concerned with so many other different obligations that we forget our main obligation, which is to the Lord. All right. Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. The whole duty of man is to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. You can't keep these laws, statutes, and commandments if you're not meditating, studying, and trying to apply what is written within this book of the law, which is the Most High God's will for his people. Have to constantly make time. All right. Put the Most High above everything else. All right. Matthew 6:33. Put him first, and you'll be able to reach the kingdom. All right. Let's go to the next scripture. The book of 2 Timothy, chapter 2, verse 15. Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. But shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. Further reinforcement that we have to read these scriptures, we have to meditate on them, and we have to study it. Why do we have to study? Well, because there's a lot of people out here who profess themselves to be men or women of God. All right. And they will use scriptures to kind of paint a narrative for you and give you an idea of how your life should be lived out. All right. But there are often many times where these people are not understanding these scriptures as they was initially written and put out for us to understand. A lot of people put their own private interpretation on it. A lot of people manipulate the scriptures to make it fit whatever lust that they may have or whatever agenda that they may be trying to push towards the masses. You cannot just listen to someone tell you about God, but then not do your research to make sure that God is actually saying the things that this person or these people are bringing out to you. We have to be able to rightly divide the word of truth. We are commanded to do that. So this is not just me just saying it or giving you advice, that we're actually commanded to know these scriptures. All right. It's not enough to just follow blindly. All right. Because at the end of the day, we still got to remember Acts 5:29. We ought to obey God rather than men, which means, God is the truth. Let every man be a liar. Men can get things wrong, and God does not. So we have to keep that in our minds, and we have to make sure that we're doing the research and we're studying on our own, because if not, and like we see in verse 16, right, you have to avoid vain babblings, all right? Because if you don't, you're going to increase into more ungodliness. You got people telling you that you don't have to worry about keeping commandments no more and that you're saved. Well, that will increase into more ungodliness, because now you don't have anything to align yourself with. You don't have no law. Now you become a lawless person. The Most High, in all his wisdom and all his power, okay, would not create a people and not have rules or regulations for them to abide by. Okay. You don't even see that here in the United States. You got a whole country full of laws, regulations, and restrictions. You break those laws, you're going to find yourself in jail. You may find yourself dead. We have to stop thinking that the Most High is just a genie and we just come to him when we need something and don't think that he expects anything back. The Most High does have laws and commandments that we must keep. And that is the only way that we're going to make it into the kingdom. All right. We have to follow him and be more receptive to him than anything or anyone else on this planet. All right. Because what happens when you don't? Well, you end up in situations like this. Let's go to the book of Colossians, chapter 2 and verse 8. The book of Colossians, chapter 2 and verse 8 says, "Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ." This is what happens when you don't study, brothers and sisters. This is what happens when people do things, all right, and you just follow right alongside them, okay? Which is essentially what our people are, us as a community. This is what we've done since we've been stolen from our homeland and brought somewhere that we didn't even know, taught a language that we didn't speak, all right? Given traditions and customs to keep that we never kept. That is exactly what has happened to us. And now what we're seeing is a bunch of kings and queens, right? Following after people who they were set to be above. But now we're below them. We want to follow. We want to do everything that the other nations push on us as a people. We don't want to do anything that God tells us, but we want to do everything that the other people tell us to do. We want to do everything that the world tells us to do. We want to do everything that is appealing to everyone else, but not appealing to the Most High. And in doing that, now we are in complete violation of the Most High's commandments. Let me show you. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10. And let's go to verse 1. And then we're going to jump right into verse 17. All right. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 1. "Hear ye the word which the Lord spaketh unto you, O house of Israel," not the whole world, not everybody, the house of Israel. "Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. It says, learn not the way of the heathen. Anyone who is not following these laws, statutes, and commandments, anyone that does not believe that, Christ is the Son of the Lord, anyone out here who believes that sinning is okay and that you are not going to be punished for doing so, all right, and are teaching people that, the Most High calls those people heathens because they're not true followers of the Lord. All right. Jeremiah 17:5. Watch this. Let me start at 4, actually. It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. Thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departed from the Lord. Main reason why people have been going through so many trials and tribulations, in pain and suffering, and just heartache, and just experience calamity at the highest level, is because our heart has departed from the Lord. Okay? Our heart has been strung every way possible, left, right, up and down, all around, you name it. Our people are always in the midst of something else that in some shape, form, or fashion takes more priority than God. We can celebrate St. Patrick's Day, Christmas, all these other holidays, but we can't keep the Most High's feast days, the high holy feast days, the feast days that actually make the Lord pleased with us, the feast days that the Most High actually hollowed out for us and blessed for us. And in us keeping it, we will be, working our way up to securing a seat in the kingdom of heaven. No, we don't want to do that. We want to do everything else, right? That's a problem. And in doing so, we have discontinued from our heritage because the Most High didn't tell us to do this. Man told us to do this. Prime example, like I said, today's topic is about St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day has nothing to do with Israelites at all. You so-called blacks, Hispanic, Latinos, Latinas, all right, Native Americans, this has nothing to do with you. Has nothing to do with your history, okay? At all. And it also involves a religion that was forced on you by your oppressors. But let's get into the history of that, right? But let me read just a few more things, and then I'm gonna show you exactly what I'm talking about, all right? Because a lot of y'all are celebrating this day and don't know what it is. Y'all just doing it just to do it. Because it's fun. You can get lit, have a party, put a nice little green outfit on, you know what I'm saying? And, get jiggy out there. But you doing that, and you doing it on a Sabbath day, right? It's the Sabbath day, and people are out here getting lit, talking about St. Patty's Day. And you right out there with them. Or you see people that look like you who's right out there with them in the midst of wickedness, sin on all levels, especially being on a Sabbath day. But I'm going to get into that. Let's go to the 1 John 2:15, because I made a statement referencing this earlier where the world has so many things within it. All right. So many things that unfortunately are appealing to our people. So many things in it that has pushed us and has kept us away from the Lord. And, it's put us in a lot of sin. And we've suffered because we want to chase after it. But here's what the Most High God says about the world. All right. This is the book of 1 John chapter 2, verse 15. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of God, not the will of man, the will of God abideth forever. So if you're not going to do the will of God, and the will of God does not tell you to do the things that you're doing now, then you're not going to abide forever. Okay? You can't love this world and love God at the same time, because this world is set against God. This world has put you in sin. The world had put me in sin for so long before this truth was revealed to my family and I. when we started to make the adjustments, as so many other people worldwide have done, who are in this truth and can tell you about their journey. All right. We got to stay away from the things of the world. The things of the world are the things of Satan. And we have to pay more attention to what are the things that are of the Lord. All right. Of Christ. Okay. Things that's going to actually help you once your spirit leaves your body. Okay. This right here that we doing, this little song and dance, you're not in the world, this is temporary. All right. But it's also a rehearsal for how things are going to be if we make it into the kingdom. And if we have any aspirations to make it into the kingdom, we have to do the right things now. And the right things now is following these laws, statutes, and commandments. Staying away from anything that causes us to sin. Not following after the other nations. All right. And not following after their gods. Prime example. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6 and verse 14. Ye shall not go after other gods of the people which are round about you. One thing we have to understand is that just because people say they believe in God does not believe that they truly do. Because many people have different belief systems on how they are to follow God. And if you don't ask questions and you don't really get a good idea, you'll never truly know. A lot of people believe in multiple gods, even still today within this country, right? All right. Prime example, a lot of times when you keep in these holidays, and I've already brought it out a few times within some videos in the past, a lot of those holidays have pagan origin. Almost every last one of them. So where you're thinking that you're doing something for the family, you're doing something for fun, you think the God is happy because you guys are coming together and sitting on one roof having dinner and things of that nature. You're thinking that this is okay, but you're not understanding that you're keeping holidays that were started by pagan people who believed in multiple gods, people who did weird festivals. They did weird little celebrations during this time. Okay. Then you don't also know the other history behind it. A lot of times our people was not the forefront of it. They were suffering in some shape, form, or fashion. Okay. While the other nations of people were doing it and having a great time. But I digress. It tells us right here, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 14. You shall not go after other gods of the people which are round about you. Who is the Most High talking about? Right? We already know the scriptures is being taught and spoken to the children of Israel, the lost sheep, Jacob, right? But it's telling us here because the Most High already knew we were going to go into slavery because of all the nonsense we've been doing for all these years. So that is our punishment. But even in our punishment, the Most High tells us, you shall not go after other gods of other people which are round about you. Verse 15. For the Lord thy God is a jealous God among you, lest the anger of the Lord thy God be kindled against thee and destroy thee from off the face of the earth. Ye shall not tempt the Lord your God as ye tempted him in Massah. Ye shall diligently keep the commandments of the Lord your God and his testimonies and his statutes which I have commanded thee. Not of the president of the United States, not of all these other different leaders, these politicians, these men, not of the head of your church. You are supposed to diligently keep the commandments of the Lord your God. And your Lord your God does not tell you to keep or to do the things that you like to do. I'm telling you, it's not here. You can't find it in the scriptures. This is where that 2 Timothy 2:15 applies, right? Let's go around to verse 18. And thou shalt do which is right and good in the sight of the Lord, not of men, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest go in and possess the good land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers. All right, so now that we're going to kind of touch a little bit on what the Most High has to say about us even being in the midst of this St. Patty's Day, let's get an idea of what St. Patrick's Day is, because I know a lot of y'all don't even know what it is. All right, I know you don't because I didn't know. Yeah, I had to do research just today just to find out a little bit of history on it and to kind of have some type of edification, because unfortunately our people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. We see that in Hosea 4:6, right? But it also says we're destroyed because we reject knowledge. We don't want to hear it. Well, one thing you should learn about being in this truth is that rejecting knowledge is unacceptable. You cannot do it. You cannot be ignorant of anything. You have to know everything that you're doing. You have to know why you're doing it. You have to truly understand it in order to be able to ascertain what is going to be good for you in your walk and in the walk of your family. Okay? Especially you men who's listening to this class, you are a watchman. So you have to constantly be watching for everything. You got to know what's happening around you in order to protect your people or to even warn them. All right. So let's talk about this St. Patty's Day, right? So a little bit of history. I'm going to share a link with y'all. Check this out real quick.
In the late 4th century AD, a 16-year-old boy named Maewyn was living in Roman-controlled Britain when he was kidnapped by Irish pirates. The pirates took Maewyn back to Ireland and sold him into slavery, which lasted for 6 terrible years. During his captivity, Maewyn clung to Christianity for solace and consistently prayed to God, an oddity to the pagan Irish. One night, Maewyn decided to escape and found a boat that took him back to Britain. The now 22-year-old was finally reunited with his family, but the thought of Ireland never left him. Maewyn decided to dedicate his life to Christ and study to become a priest. Maewyn asked Pope Celestine for permission to return to Ireland to act as a missionary. Pope Celestine agreed and changed his name to Patrick, which means father of his people. Patrick spent the rest of his life traveling Ireland and preaching the gospel. Not much is known about his time in Ireland, but there is reason to believe that he was arrested and abused on more than one occasion. But Patrick carried on. According to legend, Patrick used a shamrock to demonstrate the idea of the Holy Trinity to the Irish people. When Patrick died on March 17, 461 AD, his day of death would be remembered as St. Patrick's Day, for the man who dedicated his life to bring Christianity to the people he loved. In the late 4th century AD, a 16...
So, just with that, right? Here's a man who lived in Britain, okay? Caught by some Irish pirates, brought to their land, just found out that the Irish was a pagan people, so they believed in multiple gods. And, you know, this guy, he eventually gets up out of there and decides to go back to teach Christianity. Christianity, which is a man-made religion, which we know was started by Constantine, who was a Roman, who was also a faithful servant and believer in multiple gods at one point in time before trying to push this Christianity doctrine. But then we also know that Christianity is probably the worst thing that's ever happened to our people, because it's put us in such a mind lock, okay, to where we are more so focused on just following what someone's teaching us versus actually reading the scriptures and actually seeing that there are a lot of things that don't align with what we've been taught. Prime example, that Christ is a white man. Look through the Bible, Christ looked like me. He looked like you if you watching this video, right? Things that they've taught us, like the Sabbath day is on Sunday and not Saturday. These are the things that Christianity has pushed. And this man, okay, who does not look like us, all right, not an Israelite by any means, basically brought that religion over to another place to Christianize it. Why are you celebrating that? Why is our people out here celebrating this? What real celebration can we have with this particular holiday? It has nothing to do with us, right? It has nothing to do with us, and it's not even something that we should be involved in anyway. We sitting over here celebrating Christianity being brought over to another place to ruin the people that was there. Literally, let's just say an effort of conquest, right? This man thought that, the Irish people were just so disenfranchised. And then there was just a bunch of pagans. Oh no, let's go back over there and let's Christianize them. Let's give them the Holy Trinity, right? But that's only the surface level of it, right? They're not telling you how the Christianity was administered to these people over there. They're not telling you whether or not battles were fought. All right. It wasn't telling you if people was killed. And obviously, when you do the research, because I did definitely an extensive amount of it, a lot of stuff is hidden. But in doing this research, I found something very interesting that I did not know before. And I found it even more alarming. So that's why I'm going to share it with you. That's why I said we're going to get into the St. Patty's Day a little bit. The class ain't going to be too long, but I do want to bring out this research just so you have an idea of what it is that you used to keep and what your family members who are still in the world are keeping right now. Okay? Let's go to the next thing. So let's start right here. All right. So this is on medium.com. All right. It came out on March 17th, 2023. So about 2 years ago, right? St. Patrick's Day, a boozy green celebration of African genocide. Let's see what she has to say. Happy St. Patty's Day. Today is a day usually associated with beer, the color of green, shamrocks, and all things Irish. The holiday, once a Catholic tradition to honor the famed patron saint of Ireland, St. Patrick, has evolved over time more than you know. The real origin of this history is a much darker piece of history that has remained in the shadows of St. Patrick's Day, unlike the tragic origins of Thanksgiving. The genocide that surrounds this holiday has not yet become common knowledge. The accepted fable of St. Patrick's Day is that St. Patrick is responsible for ridding Ireland of snakes. However, Nigel Monaghan, keeper of natural history at the National Museum of Ireland in Dublin, has an interesting insight into this myth. Watch this, y'all. Monaghan adamantly expressed to National Geographic that at no time has there ever been any suggestion of snakes in Ireland. Gabriel 2023, that's a reference point. The true tale of St. Patrick was his mission to rid Ireland of paganism, right? So we saw that in video, right? He wanted to bring Christianity to Ireland because they were pagan people, but that's all it says that he did, right? Remember I was saying there's other stuff that's been missing. Not everything is being brought out. That video was the surface level, okay? The true tale of St. Patrick was his mission to rid Ireland of paganism, which is the serpent as commonly associated with Catholicism. And unlike actual snakes, did exist in Ireland during the 5th century AD. All right. Contrary to popular belief, due to the cultural whitewashing or falsification of historical data and religious influences like the Catholic Church, is not common knowledge that the oldest human remains ever discovered by archaeologists were of African descent. See, now it's about to get real interesting, right? So according to a DNA study performed by the University of Pennsylvania, the project found modern Africans had the most diverse DNA of all racial groups in the world, confirming the idea that Africa is the birthplace of humanity, Connor 2009, which is something we know already, right? These groups spread throughout the world, migrating for survival. One of these groups were the Twa, nomadic humans of African descent who were the first people to inhabit Ireland. Okay. The Twa people, also known as the Akan by other African tribes, were little people, usually under 5 feet tall. Slovakia. They were also known by a different name that you might recognize, an old Irish name, Lucrapan, a name composed of lu, meaning small, and corp, meaning body, and is pronounced as leprechaun today. Known for their pagan practices that predated Christianity by 10,000 years, their locks of hair that was snake-like in appearance, you know what I'm saying, locks of hair, snake-like in appearance, all right, just to give you a visual, and the headdress of fez depicting images of a cobra ready to strike. It is no wonder they were often referred to as the snake people. The snake in the Twa belief structure was not the symbol of evil that we have been taught today, but was representative of ancient knowledge of the Kundalini, chakra energy, and DNA helix, and associated with eternal life, protection, and spirituality. The Twa also excelled in medical and technological knowledge that surpassed those of their time and were considered magic by those that witnessed them. So a lot of times you may hear that St. Patrick went out there battling druids and stuff like that. What we're really seeing is that the people there, which is very intelligent, and they were ahead of their time technologically and scientifically, that what they were able to do at that time for anyone coming in who was new may have appeared to be magic to them, right? Let's continue. This gives the legend of the leprechaun some historical value. Tiny people possessing wisdom and magic did exist. According to Catholic legend, St. Patrick was praised for his success in purging Ireland of snakes. Now, snakes do not exist in Ireland, okay? We're going to get into that too. Just like, much like Hawaii or some of those other islands, like New Zealand and things of that nature, Ireland is not a place where you can find snakes. So what was he really purging? Stay with me. Sending them slithering into the sea, into their deaths, and converting the Irish to Catholicism. The legend is not accurate, as we can see throughout history that missionaries were often warlords converting entire civilizations by force, and often, as is the case of the Twa people, committing acts of genocide to do so. Europeans who witnessed the medical, technological, and spirituality of the indigenous Ireland Twa people feared it as magic and therefore of the devil. Some historical documentation of Ireland expresses that St. Patrick did drive the serpents into the sea to their death, but the metaphorical serpents, the pagan Twa of Ireland, are believed to have been massacred by St. Patrick and his military forces. The patron saint of Ireland, responsible for ridding Ireland of snakes, died in Saul, Ireland on March 17th, 0461. The day was declared a holy day by the church and observed in Ireland as such, but was more of a religious obligation than a festival it is today. So it sounds look real similar to what happened on Thanksgiving to our Native American brothers, right? It was a huge massacre. All them people was killed and land was taken. All of these atrocities, which was then marked with a flag or a flag of or a commemoration of Thanksgiving. So big celebration for the wiping out of a people, okay, and the slavery of who was remained. Very similar to what happened here, at least what research is showing us, right? But why have we never heard this, brothers and sisters? Why is this something that clearly it's online? People have, and what you guys are not seeing just yet is that there's been quite a bit of debate about this, all right? People going back and forth trying to say, no, this never happened, and people saying that it did happen. But as we already know, a lot of things, especially things of this magnitude, is always going to be kind of drowned out, right? They're going to try to throw dirt on it, bury it, because they don't want this to come out. Because if it comes out to the masses, well, then now that destroys their perception of what this day, St. Patrick, really is. Now, some may care and stop doing it, but unfortunately, there's a whole lot of people who will still do it the same way people still keep Thanksgiving and Christmas and all these other holidays, knowing how wicked it is. But I digress. Let's get back to the document. All right. As you prepare to honor the patron saint of Ireland, St. Patrick, today with green clothing, beer, and pins that read Luck of the Irish, please keep in mind the true origins of this holiday. It is truly a thinly veiled attempt at covering acts of genocide committed by the agents of the Catholic Church. This is not a new concept. In fact, the genocide in the name of God and colonization has been widely practiced by the Europeans. If you have any questions about that, look up the Crusades. All right, a bunch of religious wars. Christianity was, back then when it first came into full swing, it was pushed everywhere. And anyone who didn't accept it, they got wiped out. Okay? A lot of people fought against Christianity. So you can do your research on that. Okay? Let me go back. Genocide in the name of God and colonization has been widely practiced by the Europeans as they did with the Native Americans of the USA, the Aboriginals of Australia, the Kupti of ancient Egypt, and virtually every piece of land that they set their sights on throughout history. It makes sense because who was mainly pushing Christianity? The Romans, and we know that the Romans were people of conquest. They were always conquering and trying to conquer other nations of people to bring them all into one thing. All right. Much like the United States, you can find the United States everywhere because the United States has conquered. The United States is nothing more than another engine or a replica of Rome. So what we're reading here makes a lot of sense. Okay. All right. Let's see. You may also be interested to find that the celebration of St. Patrick's Day did not originate in Ireland, but in New York in 1762, when Irish soldiers who were serving in the British military marched the city in honor of their land's holy day, and was the catalyst of the tradition of celebrating St. Patrick's Day today. The dark history of this holiday has been refuted by many of the same systems that are responsible for attempting to whitewash history to their advantage, painting the Europeans as heroes and bringers of peace rather than the barbaric conquerors that they truly were. All right, these are all the resources that was utilized in creating this this research for you. And as you can see here, it ain't one of us, it's one of them. So that's for anybody who just want to say, oh, it's just you Israelites always pushing hate and da 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 da. No, it's just one of your own. Okay, it's the other people out there, the same people who put us in captivity, same people out here killing us, shooting us down in the streets, putting us in jail. All right, that's one of their own who wrote that. All right, I got one more that I want to share with you guys, but don't you guys find it quite fascinating that this is a side of St. Patrick's Day that we have never heard of? Okay, I've been in the truth for how long? I've been in the truth now? Maybe going on 10 years, right? 9 to 10. That's crazy saying that out loud. But yeah, about 9 to 10 years, and done a lot of research within that time frame. I never knew this about St. Patrick's Day. I just always knew that, you know, it was something that we weren't supposed to be doing. I knew that there was some type of wicked origin to it, but I never really did the deep diving and the research to find out just what it was. But now that I know, and I'm finding it out today as I'm sharing it with you, it's crazy. But this is what we used to do in the world. We used to have fun. I remember I used to get up St. Patrick's Day. I mean, you know, I put on the green once in a while, but you know, in the world, you know, especially in college, man, we was partying on St. Patrick's Day. Going all type of parties, drinking, we was doing everything we wanted to do. And that's still happening right now. You know what I'm saying? We just saw this, all the white people got together, they lit. Okay, let's go ahead, let's join in, let's have a good time. All right. Sorry, white. Caucasians. All right, let's just say it that way. But yeah, that's what we used to do. Had no idea what we were celebrating, but we were just looking for a good time and fun. But then realize what we was in the midst of having fun too, what we were celebrating right alongside these people. This is why knowing your history and studying is so crucial. And that's why the Most High tells us in Hosea 4:6, we're destroyed because we have lack of knowledge. But we also reject knowledge. We have the ability to go out and do the research. We have the ability to open up a book and read, go to the library. We live in an era where information is easily accessible if you want to access it. All right. Same way I was able to pull this up, you should be able to do this too. There's not anything out here in this world that we can't get any information on. You know what I'm saying? If we don't want to. So let me show y'all this last one, all right, real quick. All right. So here's another link. I hope y'all can see this clearly. But this is right here. It says Liberty Riders, Africa, Ireland was first inhabited by a black Twa tribe. It's Twa again, allegedly killed by St. Patrick. All right. So let's see. This was written March 26, 2019. So, you know, the first one we read was in 2023. This came out in 2019. So, like I said before, this is something that's been spoken about, brought up. Okay, it's in 2025, and we just seeing this now. Here, let's go. So there is a common knowledge of Africans being the first humans on Earth. Many people have heard this in passing, but do not believe it to be true. This is due to the fact that history has been altered and taught wrongly. Yes, it has, and we've been following it and trusting in it for so long. That's what the Most High told us right there in the scriptures, that, you know, if we continue to trust in man, we're going to be destroyed. All right. That's right there in Deuteronomy. So let's keep going. The oldest human remains found by archaeologists is that of a Negro, brown, black person. This helps in buttressing the facts that Africans created civilization and that various African tribes inhabited various regions of the earth outside motherland Africa. All right. One of such is the Twa tribe of Africa, who are the first people to live in Ireland. It was not white people living in Ireland at first. Okay, they got there later on. But it says here that the first people were the Twa tribe. Now, whether or not they were, descendants of our people, we don't know. Then they could have been Shemites, they could have been Hamites. We don't know, but what we do know for a fact is that the first people who lived there look like me, and they look like you. All right, let's continue. They were also referred to as Akan by other African tribes and leprechaun by Europeans. The whole leprechaun term, all right, was termed by the Europeans the same way how nigger was termed by the Europeans, the same way how mulatto was termed by the Europeans, Jamaican, all these different terms, Dominican, Puerto Rican, termed by the Europeans. Y'all, I hope y'all are seeing this common denominator here. The name leprechaun comes the Old Irish leucopon, which is a compound name composed of leu, meaning small, and court, meaning body. We just read that in the other link. The Twa practiced matriarchy. They venerated the great black mother and had women as leaders of their tribe. Yeah, these are definitely some Hamites for sure. I think, I'm going to leave it alone. Let me stop. That's out of order. But nonetheless, there have been many tales told about the leprechauns and their magical powers. Many people believe them to be a fairy tale, but in reality, they existed. The Twa were diminutive, or little men and women who grew to a height of about 4'11". They were skilled craftsmen who migrated from Africa into Ireland. Into Ireland, it's probably saying many, but many thousands of years ago. They had advanced knowledge of medicine, metallurgy, textile and clothing manufacturing. They were also excellent at shoemaking, which the Caucasians at the time in human existence thought was magical. The existence of the Twa people has been confirmed by various authorities in history and archaeology. British Egyptologists Gerald Massey and Albert Churchworth, the Scottish historian David MacRitchie, and the British antiquarian Godfrey Higgins have carried out exhaustive research on this topic and have shed light on the Twa people. Many writers, like the likes of Tacitus, Pliny, Claudian, and others, have described the blacks they encountered in the British Isles, Ireland, as black as Ethiopians, cum negris, Xanthibus, nimble-footed blackamoors, and so on. So these are historians, researchers, many who, just based off their names, I can tell they don't look like us, but they have done the research and they've all came to the conclusion, a definitive conclusion that the first settlers of Ireland were so-called black men and women. Okay, historians account that Partholans, Fomorians, Nemeds, Furblogs, Tuatha De Danann, Melisans of Ireland, and the Pict of northern Scotland were all blacks. Also, the Furblogs, who were believed to be a section of the Nemeds, are believed to be the Twa. They are described by historians as dwarves, dark elves, or leprechauns in Irish history. In his book titled The Ancient and Modern Britons, David MacRitchie stated that the wild tribes of Ireland were black men is hinted by the fact that the wild Irishman is in Gaelic a black Irishman. The word "duh" in Gaelic is black. How they disappeared or were chased out of Ireland. Just like in many parts of the world, throughout history, there are accounts of Europeans committing, eliminating, or going to war with African tribes. Entire tribes have been decimated or wiped out over the course of human history. One of such is the disappearance of the Twa, likely caused by the Caucasian Irish people who later came to Ireland because they were not there first. Our people were there first, or people who look like us, they were there first. All right. which makes sense because the majority of the world was all us. Okay, well, we've seen all the historic accounts for that. So this is not so much of a far-fetched idea or a far-fetched thought that we really shouldn't be able to resonate with or even understand. Although this account of history is not widespread, many believe that the Irish celebration of St. Patrick chasing out snakes from Ireland was actually the hunting down of the 12 people. The story and reason for the Irish holiday is actually an allegory. That is a story, poem, or picture that can be interpreted to reveal a hidden meaning, typically a moral or political one. According to Irish and now world legend, back in the 5th century AD, St. Patrick exterminated Ireland's snakes by driving them all into the sea. But we already know, brothers and sisters, that snakes are indigenous to Ireland. They don't exist there. So what could they possibly been talking about? The Irish and Christians make it sound like he was saving the Caucasian people from really deadly snakes, but this is actually false. The truth is that there is no evidence that points to the existence of serpents in Ireland. Ireland never had snakes, partly for the same reasons why there are no snakes in Iceland, Hawaii, New Zealand, Greenland, or Antarctica. Ireland was once connected to a larger landmass during the Ice Age, and the land was far too cold for any cold-blooded reptiles to survive. Ireland became colder when the glaciers melted around 10,000 years ago, pouring more cold water into the now impassable expanse between Ireland and its neighbors. Other animals like wild boars, lynx, and brown bears managed to make it across. Also, only a single reptile, this common lizard, was able to make. Snakes, however, missed their chance to survive in Ireland. So there was no way St. Patrick could have chased snakes into the sea with his religious powers. The 12 people are the snakes he chased out and killed. The 12 people, just like many African tribes, were wise just like serpents. The Twa, just like many ancient African tribes, were referred to as Naga, Naga, and Negus, which loosely means serpent people or people of the serpent. So I'll bring that out to y'all because I thought it was really interesting. And as I'm reading it to you and I learned something new, I just thought it was imperative that I shared it because I didn't know this before. And I know a lot of you didn't know this either. All right. So it's like we've been keeping this St. Patrick's Day. First off, we never knew what it meant. We was just doing it for fun. But now we're learning more about it and we're seeing that there just may have been real facts or real evidence that another tribe of our people, may have been our people, it might have been the Hamites, but nonetheless, a tribe of people were wiped out during this feast day, this worldly feast day. Okay, so once again, we're celebrating the massacre of another set of people. Okay, there seems to be a very common theme with a lot of these holidays that we keep. Well, we used to, but for people in the truth used to keep, and for people who are still doing whatever they want to do, not following after the law, y'all be keeping right now. And that common denominator is all of these holidays have some type of evil associated with it. Okay? Yeah. Either something terrible will happen during these days, but just the mere fact that it gives no reverence to God, to the Most High. Okay? None. So then the question now is coming right back into, this discussion. Why are we celebrating St. Patrick's Day? Why are people out there celebrating St. Patrick's Day and don't know what it's about? Why are we always so quick to just follow whatever is appealing to our senses? Why are we always wanting things of the world more than we want things of God? Why is the Most High's blessings not more crucial for us to have in our lives versus the blessings that man may try to give you, or you got to work hard for? Our people will go out there, spend hours of their day, lose hours of sleep, put themselves, mentally and physically, so even emotionally, through a whole bunch of stress just to please man and to get a check out of it. But it's impossible for us to apply that same energy for the Lord, the same one we pray to and we ask things of, and we have aspirations of seeing and being with in the kingdom of heaven come the time that we leave this earth in our fleshly bodies. How does that make sense, y'all? It doesn't. But I'm going to end off with this. Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 26. And as I said before, I am going to drop those links so you all can read it on your own. You can watch the video, just so you can kind of go back through it and, apply that 2 Timothy 2:15, right? Rightly divide, this truth, right? Because this is still truth that's coming out. See it for yourself and maybe do more research, maybe share what you're able to find. All right, let's deep dive together. So the book of Matthew, chapter 26, verse 6. Now, when Jesus was in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box, a very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, to what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor. When Jesus understood it, he said unto them, why trouble ye the woman? For she hath wrought a good work upon me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. For when now she hath poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this that this woman have done be told for a memorial of her. And with that, brothers and sisters, I pray this class has been edifying. I pray you got something from it. I hope it was interesting enough. I know I did a lot of reading, but I pray that you enjoyed it. I pray that you all have a wonderful Sabbath day. Keeping it strictly for the Lord and nothing else or no one else. And I pray that you all continue to stay strong in your journey with the Lord and keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments. And until next time, bid you all farewell. So with that, we say, shalom.